Now let's talk about the functions in the ES6. Now functions have changed a little bit in the looking things, but behind the scenes they are actually the same, almost the same. Now you might have seen these arrow functions quite a lot in the ES6. These I'll show you in a minute that how they can be utilized and how the syntax works. But first of all, I want to take just a moment to talk about the code hosting. It's just a big word out and quite popular in the ES6. It only means that never use a variable before declaring it. Now, if you're coming from any other language and you also code, apart from the JavaScript, you like to code in something else like Swift or maybe other languages, you probably already are aware that it's a bad practice. Now, JavaScript is very liberal and lenient about the things. So in fact, this has been improved in previous JavaScript as well. So switch on to your JavaScript. And if you do something like this, let's just say we have a score of 23. Let's just say a random score from a Mario game. And you try to print out a simple console.log. And we try to print a score. And there we go. If I do this, clear that, run that, 23 is there. Although I haven't used any var, let or anything, JavaScript is allowing me to do so. But one thing that that is bad actually is like this. So I'm using it before and then I'm trying to run it. This is bad. And in fact, it allows me to do so. It shouldn't be allowing me to do so because I'm actually using it first, then I'm declaring it. This is something bad. You shouldn't be doing that. Now here also you can see it allows me, but this you shouldn't be doing that. Now later on in the course we'll move back into the hosting and I'll talk about what are the bad impacts that you can have here. But for example, let me just do it quickly, a let, and again it gives me that, but you can see there is a pop-up. Now, I'll talk back about the code hosting later on in this course, but right now just assume that this is a bad practice. You should always declare your variable first and then use them. So that's the rule number one. Now, in case you are getting these kinds of let messages, use ES next option and everything, just make sure at the top of your editor, just write this comment that says JS hint space ES next colon true. This will get rid of the things. These are just some parameters you need to pass on. It won't affect our code or anything, but this needs to be there sometime. Okay. So that's all about the code hosting. Simple word. Don't declare, don't use your variable without declaring them. Okay. So now let's just get rid of this and talk about the functions. Now, as you probably know already, functions are pretty easy to declare. Let's just say we are function and it's called as simply print me, just like that. And we use a pair of parentheses to declare the functions. And just after that, a pair of curly braces to make sure that we have some block of code there. Now, in this case, we'll use a very simple thing. You might have already guessed that. Console.log, and it's going to say, I am a function. That's pretty simple. Okay. And let me just close that. There we go. And if I just print that or print me or use that function, there we go. And now let's just clear that and run that. We get that I'm a function, no big deal. We have been using this for quite a long time. Now what has changed in here is some of the syntax, how the function works. Now it used to be like that. Now it can be a little bit different. Now let me show you what the things have changed. So let me just copy this and talk about it in a separate function. And this time I'll call this as fun me. I don't know, I'm bad in naming the things, but again, fun me is pretty good. Okay. Now what you can do, you can use a variable there, and in this time, instead of just using the keyword function, I'll just say var, and I'll just say fun me, and then after just the fun me, I'll use a equal sign there. Now after the equal sign, I'm using the pair of parentheses. Now these pair of parentheses says, hey, you know what? I'm a function. But this doesn't complete the syntax. Now you have to use the arrow function that says, hey, this fun me is actually a function, is equals a function, and this arrow key says, hey, this is the content of this function. So that's how you goes with that. And if I just say fun me, I clear that, and let me just say I am an arrow function, and I save that, clear that, run that, and you can see I'm a function, I'm an arrow function. So this is just the old way of defining the function. This is a little bit newer function, and you will see these arrow functions quite a lot. Now when we define something known as the lambda function, or the functions without the name, just simply a code block, you'll see these arrow function quite a lot. So this is pretty useful, and you can use them quite a lot there. Now also, sometimes you'll see that you don't need actually these things, and it can be shortened a little bit, but again, that can be a little bit confusing. So I won't be shortening this function further down unless we get a little bit more friendly with the function. Okay, let me write another function as well, and this time we'll be using simply the newer version here. So I'll be saying, let's just say add me. Again, I'm not good in naming the functions there, but let's just say we use now always follow this word, this line of me, and you will never get confused. Now you need to define a function. So okay, var add me, and that's equal to a function, and now I want to define the body of the function. So arrow and fat arrow function, or arrow function, whatever you like to call that. So this is an arrow, and there we go. This is where you define the body of your function. Okay, sounds pretty good, pretty easy to me. And now if I just say I have a couple of variables, let's just say let the score is 200, and let bonus, let's just say your score is having some bonus of 50 points. Then your function add me runs there, and it just return simply, what can I return? Score plus bonus. Let's just say for the time being, score plus bonus. There we go. And we'll call this function at the bottom here, and I'll say add me. So as soon as your player hits the 1-up, or maybe addition of the scores or something, we'll be just calling that. So that's how we goes on. So add me, and if I just clear that, run that again, actually we have actually just returned it. We haven't printed it out. So let me just print that. So I'll be just saying console.log, and there we go, and we are just putting this inside there. Okay, looks cool. Clear that, run that, and we got a problem there. Let me just look out for there. Okay, console. I need to learn the spelling of the console. Now always try to read these errors here. Now again, I'm expecting that everybody knows that coding is not a smooth ride, it's a bumpy ride. So errors are always there. So make sure that you learn how to debug them as well. So let's clear that, run that, and there we go. It says 250. That's pretty cool. We have learned how we can add things here inside the function as well. But let me give you a simple tip there. Now, in case you don't want to define anything inside it, let's just say I just comment that out. You can pass arguments here as well. So you can simply say, hey, I'm expecting 2 arguments there, and always go with something like score and all these things, not just A, B, or X, Y. It's really bad practice to learn even the things. So score, and I'll just call this as add up. So what is the score? What is the add up? And these need to be passed when you're calling the function. So let's just say you're saying, hey, you know what? Score is 300 and the add up value is 10. And there we go. We have done it pretty good. Clear that, run that. And again, we got simple here because we are adding score. We should have called this as bonus. Again, read the things here, and that's going to quickly help you to solve your problems. Debugging is the best thing. There we go. We got 310. So that's the thing, how you actually define the things and how you work here. It's pretty easy to go around with that. But again, when you have something like this, you can actually get rid of a lot of things. And we'll talk about them later on in the course, that how you can get rid of all these things. You can even get rid of these curly braces. You don't need that. You don't even need the return keyword as well. You can just get rid of that. You can simply say something like this. Get rid of this, and I'll even get rid of this. Okay, and there we go. And if I just clear that, run that, and you might be saying, hey, what's going on? I'm able to just run this. This is a shorter version of the syntax, bit confusing in the starting, but as we'll use it later on, we're gonna get familiar with that. Again, a point to be noted, this only works when you have just a single line there and you want to return something your function. Apart from that, and that's very rare case then you have just one line of function. Apart from that, you always use this exact same function. So I hope things are a little bit clear about the functions, and I hope you are feeling much more comfortable with the functions and especially the arrow functions by now.